So today we're diving into the world of speaker agencies, their role in shaping event narratives, the changing expectations of audiences and brands, and what the future of thought leadership looks like in Africa. My guest today is Melisa Tsotetsi, Customer Manager at Unique Speakers Bureau and a leader in the speaking and events industry with a clear vision of how we can elevate African voices on a global stage. So, Melisa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a great honor.
Oh, I'm so glad that you could be here. So, let's start with your journey, right? What first drew you into this speaking industry, the speakers agency, and what keeps you so passionate about it today?
It's a people industry in which I love, where we get to connect people, different experiences. I think what I love most and what keeps me passionate about it is because every day is different. You get a different challenge. You get clients from different sectors, which we get to work on. We shape their events, which is always so mesmerizing. So that's what I love most, and I think that's what keeps me going. I think also what keeps me a lot passionate is the ability to be able to work with so many thought leaders. Yes. I love it. It's just so close to home for me. So it's amazing, and I absolutely love it.
I mean, you have inspiration in your pocket every day.
I do. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. I sometimes pause and reflect and think, how did I even get here? To be able to have so much motivation at my fingertips. I'm so honored and so grateful always.
That is truly a blessing, a gift to be working within this industry in that particular position. I mean, the rest of us have to attend conferences and events to get access to these people.
Right.
But for you, they're just a phone call away.
Just a phone call. And it's amazing. I love it. Like, I have role models that I've got on speed dial now. So that's just amazing. So I grew up watching these people on TV or seeing them on the news.
Right.
And being able to work with them now is just a dream come true. So it's inspiring every day. I think I wake up every day with a fresh perspective of inspiration. So it does have its challenges. I won't lie and I won't sugarcoat it. It's hectic.
Sure. Like any job.
Like any job. But
That's
I
true.
think it's just amazing being able to do it and impact other people while we do it. So, yeah.
Now, we often think of speaker agencies as just connecting organizers with speakers, event organizers with speakers. But obviously there's so much more that happens behind the scenes, right? Now, in your view, what is the true role of a speaker agency in today's event landscape?
Okay. The role is not just connecting event professionals to speakers or MCs or entertainment, but it's really to help craft experiences. That's what we live by at Unique Speaker Bureau International. We provide more than just a speaker, we provide experiences. So it's I wouldn't say easy, but it's one thing to be able to create an event and create a lineup, but to really bring that experience is another thing. And I think event professionals have so much work to do. It's insane. They're on a 24-hour schedule. I'm sure you know this.
Yeah.
And it's hectic. The catering, the venue, the deco. So to be able to remove that element of being able to get the right speaker on your stage, to be able to give that experience that you're looking to drive, is one thing speaker bureaus are known for. And often people just say, well, you're just connecting one person to another. It's not that. It's more than that. We just crafting event strategies. We conceptualizing experiences. And
so you mean you're not just connecting
No.
the speaker. So in my head and in many people's
Yes.
heads, we assume that you have this a call sheet, a book of references of a whole lot of speakers that are on your books, right? And somebody says, well, I'm looking for a motivational speaker.
Right.
And it needs to be male, between
Yeah.
these ages, etc. And this is my audience. And then you send me a list. But I'm sure there's more to it that happens behind the scenes than that. I mean, let's start with firstly, how do you find these inspirational speakers? How do they come to you?
Yeah, we've actually been in the industry for close to 2 decades now. So a lot of us have come close to a lot of stages. We've been able to watch these speakers. So when clients come to us and say, we're looking for a motivational speaker, we know back of mind how speaker A is to speaker B. And sometimes clients will have a specific strategy that they're trying to drive. So we'll know that by having known the speakers and having seen the speakers on stage. And not only local speakers, global speakers, because we travel across the globe, we join global conferences to be able to harness that experience and bring it home and say, you know what, you're hosting an event here in South Africa, in Sandton, for example, but we want to globalize your event. We want to take local thinking and change it into global thinking and impact your audience that way. So it comes with having seen so many speakers, and traveling globally and being able to bring those perspectives to South African events and all over as well. So that's our role primarily.
Wow. Okay, that's a very exciting role to have.
is.
An exciting job to have
It
as
is.
well. To find these gems, to travel the world, to find these gems and bring them to new stages and new audiences.
Right.
Now, can you share an example with me of the right speaker when finding that right speaker that completely reshaped or elevated an event that you know that you were working on for a client?
Almost every day.
Really?
I'll be a little bit, but almost every day. I think where speakers get to really like revolutionize event concepts, for us, it's almost every day. We have speakers that go on stage. So sometimes the client's expectation is, Mel, we need a speaker to just knock everyone's socks off, right? And it must be a motivational speaker. We're looking to drive our values, our strategies, our profit. Okay, so the speaker gets on stage and leaves everyone in tears. So I think almost every day we get that. We work with speakers that are able to take content, present it on screen, and drive it home and drive it to the heart. So that's how we get to impact them as well.
And what do you think is the key to finding the right speaker for the right event? What kind of information do you need to make that right choice?
The information we need is definitely asking the event planner, what is it that you want your audience to feel like at the end of the day? Because events used to be driven by profit, like our numbers are here and we need them here. So we need a speaker to help us with that. Or strategy, we need to turn around our strategy, for example. So I think what helps us most is having clarity as to what the audience needs to feel like at the end of the day. What takeaways do they have, that lasting takeaways, practical takeaways? So we often ask them that when we have the brief. It's not just about, we want a male, female speaker. There's quite a few, right? So we need to find out, what do you want the audience to say once they step out the room? It needs to be like jaw-dropping, for example. So we get those kind of speakers for them. So I think that's the most important question when getting the briefs from our clients.
So if you had to say to event planners and event organizers out there, what are the 3 key things that they would need to share with you in order for you to find the most appropriate speaker? What would those top 3 be?
I often dive down to, what does the strategy look like? Because often when organizations come to us for speakers, we need to find out what's going on behind the scenes, because it's sort of a blank canvas for our speakers. So number 1, I'd ask them, what does the strategy look like? What does the performance look like? That's the second question. And what message do you want to drive home at the end of the day? So those are the 3 questions I would ask them.
And when you talk about performance, what do you mean by that?
So high performance is often like a focus area for a lot of our clients. Sales sometimes, strategy, leadership. So they want to focus on those areas.
So in terms of the performance of the audience?
The performance of the audience, that's correct.
See, I was confusing it because I see speakers performing, right?
Yes, of course, absolutely. Performance of the audience.
Okay.
Because I know that's, it's a sore point for organizations. They always want to be better than how they were last year.
Okay.
And they often get speakers to help them with that. And not only speakers on stage, but long-term interventions. So we need to find out, what does sort of the performance look like? Where is
The
everyone
outcomes
at?
of that.
What is the outcome exactly?
Right.
So that's what we ask.
Okay, wonderful. Now, if we had to look at trends in within brands and audience expectations, from a brand's expectation and audience industry expectations as well. Of course, like all industries, the industry doesn't stand still, right?
No.
It's really dynamic.
Yeah.
And what brands and audience expect sometimes has shifted dramatically over the past few years. Not sometimes, often has shifted dramatically over the past few years, right?
Yeah.
So what are the biggest trends you're seeing now in what brands want from keynote speakers today?
The biggest trend is now conferences are led by the audience.
Okay.
So that's the biggest trends we've observed. What is the audience thinking? What are they feeling? Sort of what is the barometer of the audience? So that's the biggest trend for us. And I think in that we've developed a mood barometer. So what we do is we send a survey. It's called the USBI mood barometer. So we send a survey to the audience. So it would be, for example, yourself. We send it to you as an event professional, and you send that out to your audience. And you get what are they feeling? What are areas they want to improve on? What are they thinking about perhaps their performance, or how long they're going to stay in an organization, or what are they even thinking about the strategy of the organization. So we like to find out what are they thinking and then drive that in our message. So that is exactly how we do it with the USBI mood barometer. And I think it's a great way to find out some of the trends in the industry. And I think another trend is, of course, technology. We've seen a lot of hybrid events happening, more immersive experiences. And I think that's what drives events these days. Two things for me. What are people thinking? What are they feeling? The event is led by the audience, whereas previously it was led by strategy or numbers or targets even, but now it's driven by what the audience wants. And that's how we aim to find it out with the USBI mood barometer.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant because, very often we go into events and organizers are assuming we know what the audience wants.
Right.
We assume we know what they're coming for.
Yes.
So we assume a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that you're doing a check-in before that, before deciding what you're going to be putting on stage.
Yeah.
And that must be extremely helpful for the speaker as well, right?
It is. It's so helpful. Thank you for that. It's extremely helpful because now we take these results back and we feed it into the speaker. And I know event planners are really good at conceptualizing. So they come to us with a brief, right? And then after we've gotten that information from the audience, we're able to craft that experience. Not only are we suggesting the correct speaker that fits those pain points of the audience, but we're able to take all that feedback and get it into the speaker's presentation as well, how they shape their thinking when it comes to delivering this presentation, so they know exactly what they're talking about and what hits home for the audience.
That is delightful. From a speaker point of view, from an audience point of view, it makes it so much easier from a speaker point of view to be able to deliver according to the audience needs. And for the audience, just sitting there, knowing that
it hits home.
It hits home. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And I take away so much from it as an audience member. Brilliant. That's just lovely to know. It's just so authentic and relatable and relevant, right?
It is. It is. I think it's extremely relevant because normally, I won't speak for all speaker agencies, but normally once, you've collected the brief, you're happy to run with it and go and find the right speaker, right? But where you have like a deep dive, you're able to unpack and unravel. It reveals a lot of things, which we didn't consider before. It's done such a big shift for us. So we're able to have like a really good experience to now like a really amazing, brilliant experience.
Truly.
So.
I love that. Now, let's talk about aligning thought leadership, right, with brand strategies. So it's no longer enough for the keynote speaker to just inspire and motivate, right? That we want this keynote speaker to connect back to the brand strategy, and we want measurable outcomes. It's not just a rah-rah feel-good thing anymore, right? So how do you match up keynote content with an organization's bigger picture? So you've got the barometer, but that's the one element.
Yes.
But then obviously there's the strategy at play as well, right? The take-homes, like you talked about earlier.
Yes.
So how do you try and link those two?
So we also have another blueprint. It's called the Fuel, Ignite, Accelerate blueprint.
USB ticks all the boxes, I see.
Thank you so much. So it's called the Fuel, Ignite, and Accelerate blueprint, FIA for short.
Yeah.
And basically, we think about how do we fuel the event, how do we ignite the event, and how we accelerate the event. So it's those three main steps. Fueling comes from how do we create curiosity for the audience? How do we pique their curiosity? How do we make sure that there's going to be an aha moment once the speaker leaves the stage? Igniting is creating interaction within the speaker's presentation. So perhaps when a speaker's on stage, they would do sort of like a workshop segment where they perhaps get the audience to tell stories about each other, things that people didn't know about each other, and that perhaps maybe builds teamwork even. We've seen it in many examples. And then the accelerate, which is the last part of the blueprint, is how do we take the event that you've just hosted and take it to the next level? So that's the post-conference segment. So how do we get that impact and how do we drive it home to the audience? And this is like creating a blueprint for the audience, perhaps a value sheet, sort of a take-home to say, this is what we've learned from the conference and this is what we're taking home. What are the practical takeaways that the audience can now take and run with as they've walked out of the conference? It's sort of like a lasting impact. And in that, we have a few examples of how we do it. We have like speaker videos speaking about the strategy. We have like a blueprint, like I mentioned, that the audience can follow. And etc. There's quite a few examples we do that. So where leadership and resilience comes in is how we create not only pre-conference experiences, but post-conference experiences. How do we take that and make it a lasting impact for the audience? So it's not just like, oh, we attended a conference and that's done. But really keeping those nuggets, keeping those impact, and driving it home every day when they do their own work.
This is just so fascinating. I'm so glad we're having this discussion because I think we've done this so many times and been involved and sometimes not so involved within the speaker acquisition.
Right.
You know, and when I think back about how organizers have done it previously or, you know, fulfilling the time slot that we need to fill this time slot with a person, with a speaker. But you're teaching us so much more than that. And it's so nice to know, you know, you're not just a booking agent, right?
Yeah.
As a speaker agency, you're not just a booking agent. There's so much more involved with that to ensure that acquiring a speaker is much more fulfilling for everybody. And it's not just a tick box.
Right.
I mean, fascinating that you're not just leaving it at there. Like, here's your speaker. So there we go.
Yeah.
And here's your bowl, and we leave it at that. But you are so integrally involved in the pre and post even conference is delightful to know.
Thank you.
Really, really great.
Thank you so much. You know what? I think I often say to event planners, for us, events are not just events. They're experiences. And I think if anything, the event planner deserves to walk away with, this was an amazing experience for my audience, for my leadership team. I've reached my objectives and not only reached them at that point, but I'm carrying them through the whole year.
Yeah.
So they remember that speaker for what the speaker said. And I think it's delightful for a speaker to know that they've delivered a message and now it's been carried throughout the organization for the longest time it can be. So it's always inspiring that way.
Yep. Enlightening and delighting.
Exactly. Yes.
Light and delight. There we go. Yes. So if we move on to another topic of interest when it comes to speakers. We talk about diversity and inclusion and representation on the stage as well, right? So this is another powerful shift that is happening and in speaker lineups, and it's wonderful to be able to see that globally, right, and locally. So in your as a representative of USB, why does this representation on stage matter so much in this events industry space today?
I think it matters because audiences deserve to see global perspectives. They deserve to see different and diverse perspectives. I think a lot of the times we're just used to hearing motivational speakers that have a message perhaps about resilience. But I think where diversity and representation stand is that the audiences deserve to see a lot more of a global feel, a lot more of diverse perspectives. And I think what I'd like to see more of is females on the stage. For me, it's definitely what I'd love to see more of. Females on the stage. There's been quite a few emerging on stage, which is amazing. So I would absolutely love to see more of that. But to answer you, I do think audiences deserve to see what hits home for them. How diverse is it to know that perhaps you come from a different background from someone else, but that message speaks to you as how it would to someone else. So I think it's important to have speakers that are very unique and authentic and representing that diversity in everything they stand for, perhaps in business leadership, their personal goals, maybe their strategies, their values. So I think audiences do deserve to see a lot more of that.
Yeah. Because our audience is so diverse as well, right?
Right. Very, very diverse. So where the audience is really so diverse, so it is very difficult for event planners to find a speaker that speaks to such a diverse audience.
That's true. I'm sure that must be very challenging.
Very, very challenging. So that's where we come in. So we know that the speaker isn't just crafting a message for the leader, but also for perhaps the cleaner, because those hearts matter too, and they give a lot of value to the organization. It doesn't matter what level up you're in or what level down you're in. I think diversity in voice is extremely important. Yeah.
So where do the biggest challenges lie in allowing this diverse lineup of speakers on stages? Where's the challenges? Where's the blockage?
I think the blockage is people are uncomfortable with change. So they're used to having seen Speaker A on stage and they're like, let's do it again, right? So I think people
comfort levels.
Comfort levels. I think they're very uncomfortable with change. So I think where we come in, we try to revolutionize how people have always seen events. So often they would say, I've seen this speaker and we've had him again, right? But we try to change the narrative in bringing a new speaker with fresh perspectives, because it does go a long way in carrying that strategy through. I think audiences are always inspired. They're like, Mel, give us fresh speakers. And I'm like, of course. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
There's so many unsung heroes. There's so many hidden gems that organizations should be now more comfortable with unraveling on their stages. I think it's a canvas that they should allow us to paint on a lot more. So, yeah.
Now, I love your personal insights. They truly do. So let's take it back to you personally, right? What has your journey in this industry taught you about leadership and resilience?
Wow, it's a beautiful question. Thank you. I think it's taught me that you don't need permission to make an impact. You don't need permission to change the world. And you can do it in many different ways. Like, I've heard some of the most inspiring speakers myself.
I'm so jealous.
Oh, you should be. You should be. So I've heard some of the most inspiring speakers. And I think the golden thread there is that they didn't get permission from anyone. They just took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it teaches me personally, that you don't need permission. You just need to go out there, be your authentic self. And that authenticity will resonate with someone, because there's someone out there that has a burning desire to open up their voice and talk about their own journeys. And yes, it is going to resonate with someone. So I think that's what brings me the most joy. It's awesome.
That's wonderful. Now, because you have a bias to Africa, of course, right?
Yes.
How do you see African thought leadership being positioned globally? What are your thoughts about that?
I see it more on a business perspective. I've seen a lot more a growing desire for African business leaders to be on stage, which is exciting.
Really?
Female leadership as well. I think that's changing the landscape.
Yeah.
And I think where Africa's growing in terms of the events industry is that we will definitely see a lot more diversity. We'll definitely see a lot more stories, a lot
Yes.
more voices. So I think that's where it's going. And it's exciting times, to be honest.
It truly is. And to be in your space during these times and having access again to so many different brand strategies and so many different speakers and stages
Yes.
Is so enlightening and really an opportunity to broaden your personal horizon, right?
Yeah, it always is.
So if we look at the broader themes for our audience, as we wrap up this discussion, let's look at technology.
Right.
Let's go there first. I mean, everybody's talking about it, like from AI to hybrid platforms. How is it changing the way speakers engage with the audiences?
Hugely, hugely. There's so many buzzwords nowadays: AI, virtual reality, tech, integration. There's so many buzzwords, and I think how that impacts how speakers go on stage is that they're always mindful that technology is driving every sector that we know, the high growth sectors as well that they're in. So I think the way they position themselves, the way they present. Speakers have become a lot more tech savvy.
That's great.
It's not only because of COVID, but they definitely have become more tech savvy. They've definitely become more receptive to technology and being able to integrate technology in their own keynotes. We see with a lot of speakers that go on stage, they have like the most amazing presentations in 3D. They integrate some robotic movements within their presentation. I'm not a tech person myself, but I've learned quite a lot in that space. So I think they're being more receptive to technology and being able to bring that out to the audience is what's critical for this era of technology and change.
Now, I know that you do a lot to educate and showcase your speakers with the brands that you deal with so that they have that. But do you do that with your speakers as well? In terms of evolving their careers and helping them build their brands and, creating their intellectual properties beyond the stage. Do you get involved with the speakers at that level?
We do. So we have this thing called the Unique Speaker Bureau International Speaker Academy.
Okay.
And basically, it's a platform for speakers, new and those that have been in the industry for quite a while, to develop their own careers, their own property, intellectual property, their own presentations. So I think where speaker agencies are involved, it's not just about connecting the speaker to an event. It's about really developing careers. We've seen a lot of speakers that have started from point A and it's like 0 to 100 real quick.
Wow.
They've developed immensely, and to be part of their journey, to make sure that they're rising as with each and every stage they're impacting is amazing. So we absolutely do get involved in getting speakers to train to be great speakers, because there's so many speakers and it makes it so hard for conference organizers to choose from.
It's very difficult.
So there's so many of them. So I think the Speaker Academy helps develop themselves, their own personal brands, their speaking career. So that's how we get involved in impacting that space.
That's wonderful to know, because it isn't an easy career, because most of your speakers are doubling up and doing multiple things in their careers as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's nice to know that there's that career development and building and enriching them as well. As you are aware, so being integral in the center of it all, between the brands and the speakers and the stages, you're able to keep it all together to understand where that development needs to be within each of those pots, right?
Absolutely. I think definitely, because what we do is we take a lot of, we had something called Vision 2025. I'm backtracking a little bit, but it was the vision we started with in 2025. It was not just a buzzword. Vision 2025 was to impact event strategies as much as we can, bring a lot more beautiful experiences to the audience, be more customer centric, to find out what is the DNA of our client. So, for example, I sit with you and I ask you, what are some of the values that shape your event strategies? What gets you thinking about your events? So it's data like that. And that's also why technology plays a big role. It's data like that we take it and we give it to the speakers and we say, this is what the audience is craving. This is what our event planners are craving. Because as much as we're thinking about the audience, event planners have values of their own that shape these events and these conferences that we see every single day.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Again, always connecting it,
Always
connecting the dots.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, as we've seen the landscape change as well through the years,
Right.
we've seen that storytelling has become one of the most powerful ways to leave a lasting impression, right?
Yeah.
Are speakers adopting to this way of delivery, and why do you think, or do you or don't you think that this is the way to go?
It is the way to go. I think storytelling has formed a very big integral part of what speakers say on stage, what they speak about. I think finding a unique voice is what's important, and being able to translate that into a story that resonates with everyone. I think storytelling is what the event sector looks for in each and every speaker. It doesn't matter whether you're speaking about AI or something as complicated as crypto. I think storytelling is extremely important because audiences are not just here to hear the technical
Facts
elements,
and
the
figures.
facts. It's a little bit boring. We can catch that on the news, but they're here to hear a lot more about you as a person. I think Ubuntu is a concept I use quite a lot.
Right.
And basically, it's the philosophy of being able to care a lot more about others. So I think not just since COVID, people are now caring a lot more about what others are going through. So storytelling does form a very important part because we've seen the greatest business leaders on stage talking about their journeys, how they've driven strategy from point A to point B. But what is it that made them drive that strategy? Give us a story. Where did you grow up? Who raised you? Like, what was your first business idea? How did you know you were going to be successful? Stuff like that. That's what audience are craving.
Wow.
Yeah.
And very often people shy away of telling their personal stories due to many reasons, I'm sure. But it's nice to know that you are encouraging that with your speakers. Yeah. Now, I know that you have an exciting event coming up in January.
Yes.
And I'm excited that I'm going to be there this time.
Yes.
I'm making it. So tell us more about that.
Okay, so that is on the 19th of January 2026. It feels weird to say 2026.
I know.
It's happening in Midrand at Voter World. And basically, we've been doing it for the past 3 years. This is going to be the third year we've been doing it. We have hosted many conferences in the past, showcases, right? But not to this magnitude. So we have about 400 people that we're expecting. And it's targeted at getting event planners to be able to create the most impactful experiences for their audiences. Nice. Having the best events for the year and for the century even, the best events they've hosted. So this is a platform where we connect audiences with a huge lineup of speakers from our global stable and our local stable. Nice. We bring those speakers together and we get them to share about many different topics that are shaping the event sector, that are shaping business strategies, leadership, resilience, whatever it might be that they want to hear about. And I think how we came up with that concept, or what helps us drive it, is being able to know the core DNA of our clients. So being able to find out what do you think about your events? Where does your value lie when it comes to shaping these conferences? So we've taken all that data and we've put it all in, and now we are creating an experience with it to find out
exciting.
what do event planners crave? What do they want to bring to their audiences? It's such a blank canvas every single time, and it's a big challenge to get the right speaker.
Yes.
So we think with the Speakers Showcase, it's a platform for them to be able to think about ideas, to get perspectives from different speakers and MCs and entertainment, because I think a lot of event planners just think, oh, Unique Speaker Bureau just give speakers.
Yes.
But we also do MCs, and we also provide entertainment.
Yes.
So we like to showcase those things.
Absolutely.
And what's rising in the event space, and what's important for event planners to know. We had the theme Vision 2025 this year in January. Next year, we're going in with a bigger theme. So that's going to be launched very soon. So
Watch
an even
the
bigger
space.
theme. They must watch the space. So I think everyone should be excited and should definitely register. I think it's important to be able to connect diverse voices on one stage, global and local.
Yes.
Which is amazing. And not many speaker bureaus do that. So we're happy to be at the forefront of changing perspectives and changing narratives about speaker agencies.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. It's been an absolutely insightful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing. But before we close, any last advice for organizers, or how do they get hold of you, or any insights that we have missed out already?
My closing thoughts or my closing advice to them would be to keep going. I think every event that you put on impacts someone, and it does it on a huge scale, more than you know. So my advice for them is to keep going, keep thriving for the best, making it better each and every time. I go by being 1% better every day. It makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
So if they can be 1% better with each event, it's going to be impactful. And how you can reach us is through Unique Speaker Bureau International. That's our website, so Unique Speaker Bureau International. You can find us there. You can catch us on LinkedIn. I am Melisa Tsotetsi. You can also catch me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect more with all of you, find out what's driving your event strategy and how can we help you take your event from where it is to where you want it to be. So I look forward to having those conversations.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've given it to us all. Given it all to us. It's curated voices, creating curated experiences, and just helping us understand how we keep the future of events on the right track, in the right balance, right, between content and strategy, and how audiences feel and what they take away. I love all of those things. I think we look at speakers in isolation very often to the event, but I'm so glad agencies like yourselves are there to guide us and ensure that we have a fruitful event where people take home nuggets that will change and inspire their careers and their lives.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. That's amazing. Projeni, you've been a great host. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such an honor. Thank you.
No, the honor's all ours. So thank you so much for joining us, Melisa, and to all our listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in to Africa Event Connect. If you enjoyed this episode and you know somebody who would be able to use this information to their advantage and make their events even better, please share it with your colleagues and subscribe to Africa Event Connect for more insights and more inspiring speakers through our social media channels and on our podcast channel. But until next time, we hope to see you again. I'm Projeni Pather, your host and producer. Keep connecting, keep creating, and keep shaping the future of Africa's events.